Are you looking for more out of your life? Do you need ideas on how to start new businesses and how to move forward in your own personal life? Well, guess what? You have come to the right radio show. At You Can Overcome Anything podcast show, you will learn and hear from many people from all walks of life who are sharing their challenges, their stories, the habits, and the mind shifts they had to overcome to become who they are today. On top, you will get a chance to connect and see how you can overcome anything by networking and learning about your next move through this radio show. I present to you our great speakers at You Can Overcome Anything podcast show with your host, Cesar Espino. Hello there, and welcome back to another episode of You Can Overcome Anything podcast show. It is your host, Cesar Espino. Today, I have a special guest. He is the founder of Fadaie Insurance, an 11 million revenue agency he built from the ground up. Born in Iran and settled in the United States at the age of 11, his unique approach integrates spiritual practices with business acumen, shaped by his practice of Transcendental Meditation and education at Maharishi University of Management. Kash's vision extends beyond his current success. He aims to revolutionize the insurance industry by franchising Fadaie's insurance to 1,000 locations in 5 years while inspiring others to find purpose in their professional lives. It is my pleasure to introduce you to Kash Fadaie. How are you, Kash?
I am wonderful. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Glad to be with
definitely.
you.
Definitely, I'm excited. So, tell me, I like the fact that you migrate here at the age of 11, and then you settle here, and now you're making yourself, very successful. What I like about that, though, is tell me a little bit about that background. Tell me about your upbringing
Yeah,
and the decision of you coming to the States.
yeah, absolutely. Um, I think that every person really, I was born in Iran in 1974. Um, I was enjoying life as a kid, and then all of a sudden, 1979, there's a big turmoil in Iran with the revolution of the uh, of the Iranian Revolution that happened. And my parents were part of the Navy of Iran, and they aspired to, live the American dream. We were very fond of the United States, and so we were refugees. So we went to Germany when I was about 5 years old. Um, Lived in Germany for 5 years, and at the age of 11, I came to the United States. And throughout all that, I went through many changes, right? I was always a foreigner, right? When I went
Yeah.
to Germany, I had to find a way to acclimate to the German culture, to the German language. And there was struggle there for sure. And just when I got comfortable there, where I started to kind of get the groove of the German ways at 10, 11, we come to the United States. So I had to reacclimate, right? And readapt myself. And again, that was a struggle, different
Mhm.
culture, different language. And, but in retrospect, it was those struggles, it was those hardships where I didn't fit in, where I suffered, but I aspired and I overcame that.
Yeah.
I believe I draw from that, right? I draw from those times where I had to always find a way. My name didn't seem right. My clothes weren't right. You
Yeah.
know, people make fun of how I spoke. I didn't have the actual vernacular yet at the time, but I was resilient and I learned resilience. It
Mhm.
wasn't that I was resilient. I learned it through the struggle. Like the old saying is, fine wine is made in a soil that has to struggle. The vine has to struggle.
Mm.
And so, you know, it was a beautiful journey. And I came to the United States wanting to be a businessman. And that's what I aspired to do. And that's what I focused
You
on
you're
doing.
doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's very very interesting to know and learn, and more than anything, very motivating to know what you've gone through, right? So you definitely went to Germany. There's a different language for sure there, different cultures and things like
Yeah,
that. Now you come here and very diverse
yeah.
in terms of that, and like you said, being able to adjust to that new norm. Um, you came here and migrating here and getting accustomed to the new ways. At which point did you say, you know what, this challenge, of being here and coming all over from the other side to the United States, I got to make this work. And the reason why I say that, I'm from Mexico City.
Hmm.
I migrated here, and growing up, very similar. Again, also like you, went through a lot of challenges, not being able to speak the language, not being
Hmm.
able to fit in, and there were
Hmm.
so much, in my opinion, bullying and a bunch of other things going on with that. One of the things that I realized too is other people that came from other countries. I saw
Hmm.
it with my own two eyes that they just kind of, in my opinion, wasted the opportunity of
Hmm.
being here, right?
Hmm.
Because I do believe that is an opportunity, regardless of the situation as to why we came here. To me, I feel like if I'm here, I need to make this work somehow. Instead of
Hmm.
falling into gangs or doing other things,
Hmm.
let me follow this different path. What was it for you? And whether you ended up falling to some of the wrong steps, that's also a lesson because you learn from that, or you decided to take a different direction, because many people just waste that.
Absolutely. Good point. Look, I wanted to make my parents proud.
Mm,
I saw the sacrifices that they made. We left our own country, our own land, our own language. We have a rich history. The Persian history is very
mhm,
rich. They had courage. I saw the courage. They weren't wealthy. They were hardworking and they loved. And I saw that. They weren't the greatest parents. They weren't the worst parents, but they displayed courage, and I wanted to make them proud. I was the firstborn.
mm,
I had a little sister, but I felt it was up to me to herald in and make myself something for all of the sacrifice. In fact, Fadaie, my last name, means sacrifice.
mm,
So I'm living up to my name.
yeah.
And so, but I got into some trouble too, because peer pressure is real, okay,
Mhm.
when you're a kid. I wanted to fit in. Everybody wants to be accepted. Everybody wants to be acknowledged, right? So I got in with some bad people, bad kids for a little time. And when I got hit with that, I looked around. I go, what am I doing? This
Mm,
was in my teenage years in high school. Something woke me up and said, wait, Cash, what are you doing? This is not what you came on earth for. Wake up. And so I used to read a lot back then. I still do, but back then we didn't have the internet.
mhm, yeah.
So, I would go to Barnes and Noble, and I was interested in my heritage.
Okay.
Like, what is this? Who am I? What is Persia? What is all this stuff? So I started reading,
Mm,
and I learned, my gosh, Persia is mentioned in the Old Testament of the Bible in like 7 different books.
mhm,
So what happened, Caesar, was this was these rabbit holes started opening up. So I started doing research. I would go to Barnes and Noble and I would start reading and reading and reading. And the self-help section back then was only like 8 feet
yeah.
in distance, right? Now it's like 2 aisles, right?
Right.
And they would let you sit down at the time. I couldn't afford to buy the book, but I would just sit down and read it. And I believe by virtue of reading, Caesar, um, it gave me a command of the English language, first of all, but more importantly, it started to expand my consciousness.
Mm,
And that's what drove me to realize, why am I here? What am I doing? Where am I going? And I realized I have to, through reading, I realized the answers are within. And once I realized the answers are within, boom, another rabbit hole opened up. And from there, we can discuss that, but I went through many different things at that point. But that was a pivotal moment when I realized that the answers were within, and I have to find out who I am, right? So that was a fulcrum, so to speak, on my
Yeah.
journey. Yeah.
I think that's very important to take note, and that's actually a good point. The fact that oftentimes I believe that we don't recognize or we believe that to find an answer, to find something, we gotta seek outside of
Hmm.
ourselves. And
Hmm.
in reality, I feel like a lot of the things that we want to accomplish and we want to find, and as you mentioned, they're
Hmm.
within, and they
Hmm.
came to us with no additional cost, right? It
Hmm.
came to us
Hmm.
at birth.
Hmm.
The
Hmm.
challenge is that because it is free to
Hmm.
us, we don't really put any value to that. It's just
That's
like
right.
anything else, right? You want to go to a seminar or you want to go learn something new. If you don't put any skin in the game, then guess what? You're not going to put that much attention, and therefore you don't think it's that important.
That's
Except, like
right.
I said, there's so many things that if we start working within our inner self, right, then we can definitely find those answers. There's an African proverb that I like, and it says,
Hmm.
when there's no enemy within, there's no enemy outside that can do you no harm, right?
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
believe that that's true. When you start focusing on finding the answers and focusing on yourself and looking at how can I take whatever situation, challenge I'm
Hmm.
facing and internalize that and
Hmm.
figure out that I have the answer, like literally ask yourself that question, then I
Hmm.
think you can definitely find that. And that's, I think that's a good point, because it allows you to have that pivotal moment in life,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Which is
Hmm.
huge.
It's huge. It's epic. It's beautiful. And like you said, most of the stuff that we sweat are distortions
Mm,
that I call FEAR, false evidence appearing to be real.
mm,
Because we're looking outside so much and we seek validation from outside, we fall trap to the ego's distortions. And a lot of the problems that we bring about are self inflicted. So it justifies for us all from every walk of life to step back and examine the self. What is the self? Who am I? What is it all about? And once you embark on this journey of knowing thyself, you begin to peel the layers of distortion, programmings that you never knew they were there. They're just running in the background and they go unnoticed. You discover this once you go in more and more. I call it the purification process. Trauma that you were too young to deal with, that you just simply compartmentalized somewhere and just kind of closed it up. But the thing is, those vibrations are still there. They don't just go away unless there's intention. There's intentional focus on going within and sort of releasing and scrutinizing where is this coming from? Where is this thought? Or where is this behavior that when I get triggered, where is this coming from? And then investigating that and going into that. And it's amazing because that's the purification process. And the more we unravel those things that are in there, they could even be from past lives. It could
yeah.
be generational. It could be something that's been passed down DNA wise. But we're like the forerunners. We get to have this opportunity now if we want to. It's our free will choice to say, you know what, I'm going to go inside. I'm going to unpack all this stuff. And when you do, you realize there's nothing to fear except fear itself.
Yeah.
Here I've been sweating all this stuff and I've been my own biggest enemy. But that's because of the unknown.
Mm,
But when we find that place where it's uncomfortable and we decide through courage and faith and prayer and reverence to go through it, we realize, oh my goodness, what a blessing that I've gotten through this and it was nothing and I don't have to worry. Now you have a track record and say, okay, I'm going to keep doing this. And so, yeah, that was the epic part of my life. And I mean, and we talked about one of my things is transcendental meditation.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask you about that before you dive into that.
Yeah,
Because there's different, for those people that don't know what exactly is transcendental meditation,
yeah.
because there's different, different types, I guess, of meditation. Tell us a little bit about what is that, and then tell us how you dive into that and how you got into that type of meditation.
Yeah, absolutely. So, when you hear going within, it's too cliche. It's too
Hmm.
ambiguous. What do you mean,
Hmm.
Cash? Go within. What does that mean? Go within where? And that was what I was facing at the time. So I started to pray about that. I go, well, God, well, universe, what does it mean to go within? And over and over again, what I saw coming after I asked that question was to go within is to meditate.
Mm.
And I said, okay, meditate, kept coming up, kept coming up, kept coming up. I listened to this one cassette tape. Back then we had cassette tapes. This was 1997, 1998. And the person that was talking was Deepak Chopra, actually.
Okay.
And he said, to go within, you gotta meditate. So I looked up, his teacher was Maharishi Mahesh Yogi.
Okay.
And I opened up a white pages in St. Petersburg, Florida at the time. And Transcendental Meditation came up, called, went in, paid my, I think at the time it was like $600, a lot of money.
Yeah, for
But I
sure.
had a conviction and I wanted skin in the game, Cesar.
Yeah.
I didn't want to just go learn something for free. I wanted to pay and I wanted an ROI.
Yeah.
I'm a businessman, right?
Right.
So it was the best $600 that I ever spent because what I did was I practiced this technique. It's not a religious technique. It's just a technology. It's a technique that's 6,000 to 7,000 years old. It comes from the Vedic tradition of India,
Hmm.
of the gurus. And I practiced it every morning, 20 minutes, every evening, 20 minutes, every day, didn't skip a beat. And nothing really happened except I was getting relaxed. To be honest, it was just relaxing. And I was like, okay, I'll keep doing it. I had the faith, I had read about what can happen.
Hmm.
So that was enough for me to continue because I realized you're not going to go to the gym and have a six pack
Right.
in a couple of days or even in a year. There's a lot that goes into it. So I had the sense of, you know what, Cash, you got to do this. You got to do this and you got to do it without expectation. Just bake it into your life and just be patient. So I did it. And I'll tell you what's unique about TM, Transcendental Meditation. But after 1 year, Cesar, something happened. In one of the sessions, right around about a year, and again, I wasn't expecting anything anymore. I was
Hmm.
just doing it as a routine. I had this experience that was euphoric, blissful is the way to say it.
Yeah.
And it was different. It wasn't just relaxing. It was this overwhelming joy that I couldn't explain where it came from. I didn't take anything. I didn't smoke anything. I didn't drink anything. I didn't take a pill or anything. I was actually on a very pure diet. And I was like, what could this be? But I'm actually going within.
Yeah.
And so that was like from that point when I tasted that, the next 25 years,
Wow.
I've been at it. And real briefly for your audience, what makes TM different, because there's many different meditation techniques out there.
Right.
What makes TM different is that it doesn't use control you're not trying to focus on anything. So the concept is if you focus on something, you're exerting effort. And if you're exerting effort, then that may have its own benefits for sure. There are different techniques. But the purpose of TM is to go beyond thought,
Okay.
hence transcendental, to go
Right.
beyond. And the way to do that is not to control the thoughts, not to control the mind. Here it is. Here's the secret nugget. It's to allow the nature of the mind, which is meandering. The mind likes to,
Yep.
meander. It likes to jump around. Don't try to halt that. Allow the mind to meander, but you simply introduce a mantra, which is a word. It's a vibration from the Vedic tradition. It has no meaning to English, but that mantra, that vibration, you introduce it within the back and forth of the mind, thinking about this and that, and eventually the mind begins to slow itself down and it gets attracted to the mantra. And the mantra is like an anchor. If you picture an ocean,
Yep.
the surface of the ocean is the waves,
Yep.
thoughts, and the mantra, the anchor, brings it down to quieter, 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 until you get to the bottom of the ocean. And that bottom of the ocean, that is the I am. That is pure consciousness or transcendental consciousness.
Yeah.
So that's the goal of meditation. And once you go there, your physiology changes, your nervous system changes, becomes more refined, and your brain waves change. And now you're going beyond the subconscious, Cesar, to the superconscious. And so that's what TM taught me. And I've been doing it for 25 years. And I accredit most of my success to learning how to quiet my mind and
That's
reaching
huge.
pure consciousness.
Yeah. One of the things that I hear a lot is, I don't know how to meditate, or I don't know what to do, or how to start it, or how long do I need to do it for? Any kind of tips that you can give the listeners in terms of if they want to start doing this, what they can do?
Absolutely. Look, meditation is not easy for anybody, first of all. So first of all, you're not alone, okay? Everybody I speak to, they're like, I can't. And I get that. Because remember, we're always trying to do something,
Right.
right? We're actually human beings, right? We're supposed to be,
Right.
right? There's a passage in the Bible, be still and know that I am God. But often we are doing something. We're always doing something. So it's an outward expression, right? But to be, because of that, is like the most hardest thing to do. And I get that. So my number one tip would be go learn TM or learn from an instructor.
Mm.
Some things you can do definitely on YouTube, and that's cool. But if you really want to reach samadhi, right? Samadhi is a level of enlightenment,
Mm.
a neurobiological experience
Got it.
of bliss.
Yep.
If you really want to get the most out of your apparatus, by the way, your apparatus, this apparatus that we have, this physiology, has latent energy that is waiting to be unlocked. And you've heard this before, but once you experience it, then it becomes very, very clear that what lies behind the scene in this physiology is so enormous that it can hardly be discussed. So if you want to reach that, your fullness, the best version of you, the I am, then it behooves you to learn it from a master,
Mm.
from somebody who experiences samadhi, right? It's like if you want to be a great soccer player or tennis player, you're going to, if you really are serious about it, you're going to go and you're going to pay somebody to show you how to swing that golf club, right? It's the same with meditation. Make the investment if you're serious. Get clear on what you want. Get serious on what you want. If you want samadhi, it's reachable, first of all. Then go look up Transcendental Meditation online. Find your local, they're everywhere in the world.
Yep.
Find your local TM center, make an appointment, go in. They even have like, if you're financially on a budget, they have programs where it's affordable. Don't worry about that. Don't even worry about anything. Just know that this investment that you will make is going to tremendously change your life and give you more than I could even speak about. So yeah, go learn it. Then the last part, third part, don't sit there and expect samadhi right away. It's just like going to the gym,
Mm.
okay? Bake it into your life. You deserve 20 minutes in the morning by yourself and 20 minutes in the evening by yourself. Go ahead and carve out that space for yourself and say, I am going to meditate 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes at night. And I'm not going to sit there and if I don't get what I want, you got to get that out. You got to say, I'm just going to bake it into my life and I'm going to do it. And whatever comes from it, comes from it. I've heard that it's great. I've heard people talk about it's great. Well, guess what? I'm just going to do it and I'm going to be patient. And that's the final part. Have faith, have courage, do it every day, be consistent. That's the key. And I guess the fourth part, get around like-minded people.
Mm.
People that are also meditating from the TM center that you go to, for example, get around those people who are also on that path. They're going to encourage you and you can probably meditate together and then you can have Q&A with them. But those would be the four sort of points that I would
Yeah.
render
Yeah.
in terms of my advice.
No, definitely. That's huge. That's huge. So let's talk about this agency that you built, right?
Yes.
From the ground up, you build this agency to 11 million in revenue. Uh, tell me more about that. And I like the approach you're taking, right? Because I think that's something that I never heard anyone take, be able to take that approach of integrating the spiritual practices with your business. And so
Yeah.
tell me about that.
Absolutely. As I said, I always wanted to be a businessman. At 13, I started my lawn mowing business in Florida. I had a dozen other businesses that I learned from, sold businesses and failed in businesses. All of the culmination of that led me to insurance. Okay. In 2004, and honestly, it was the process of isolation. I had done real estate. I was in the car business and I was just like ready for a change. I tried insurance. I did so well in it that Allstate offered me a franchise.
Mm.
And at the time, Katrina was going on, the hurricane, and I decided I wanted to be an independent broker. And so, long story short, I started my first franchise called Brook Insurance in Temecula, California in 2006.
Okay.
Um, and I didn't have a lot of experience, but I had grit and I
Mhm.
had faith and I had a positive attitude and gratitude. And I said, okay, I'm going to do this. So I got in and I started to cash flow within 6 months. So I was doing good. I would go to the car dealerships because I knew the car business. I would give them donuts and I would just market myself. And I started to get business from that. And little by little, they came, they gave me business. And then they wanted homeowners insurance, the people that bought car insurance, and I sold homeowners insurance. Then those people had businesses. So I started saying business insurance. And so little by little, I fell in love with this business, Cesar.
Mm.
It's noble work because people trust you with their stuff that they want to protect, their assets. And I was empowered by that. I was like, I take that to heart, that you
Mhm.
trust me with your financial legacy. So I became addicted to the business. Um, but here's what happened, and here's how I tied in spirituality with this, Caesar. I realized that it's a very competitive field.
Yeah.
I was undercapitalized. So I needed to have energy, much more energy than a normal human would have. So because I was single at the time, so I had to do what it took because running a business and keeping a business for 20 years, that's not a small feat.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I need the energy. So what I did, Caesar, was I began to go back to what I learned in my teachings of TM. So I began to double down on the practice because, you know, what you'll learn with TM or any meditation is you gain a much deeper state of rest than you would through REM or delta sleep.
Hmm.
And so I would double up my meditation. I began fasting, another esoteric practice that I still practice today.
Hmm.
Because remember, when you eat food, you get calories, that's fuel. But remember, your body has to break that down. So you're using 60%, 70% of your energy to break down food. Well, if you fast, you liberate the body, the physiology from breaking down food, and you begin to learn how to use ketones, fat, as fuel. So I stacked that on there. So I stacked on, TM and fasting and exercise was my third layer, right? I would not go to work without exercise.
Hmm.
Anyways, these techniques was my superpower. This is what set me apart from my, competition.
Yeah.
So I would just get in, Caesar. I would buy leads and I would work them at 3, 4 in the morning. I would sleep in my office and then I would go to Gold's Gym at the time and work out, clean up, come back. I would work. I called it guerrilla warfare
Yeah.
because I didn't have big guns, right? I didn't have, all this stuff. But what I had was these secrets, these esoteric practices that gave me the edge. And through that, I was more creative. I started to hire high school students because I couldn't afford better.
Hmm.
And these high school students were honor students. They were getting a grade. And 3 of those high school students were outstanding. I offered them jobs at the end of their curriculum. And then I got them into the insurance business. That was another thing that happened, Caesar. I was
Hmm.
feeling like, hey, I can build a team. In fact, I have to build a team if I want to scale.
Right.
So I learned how to build a team. And little by little, I met my wife. She joined. We became a power team. She does the books, I do the operations. And then we started having babies. And people think, well, having babies is tough. Actually, ironically, the baby started helping me, right? Because it was like, there's my why. There's
Yeah.
more whys. There's more reason for me to be this way
Right.
and to, find deeper energy. So 20 years later, here we are. But that's how I connected, Caesar, in closing. That's how I connected energy allocation by virtue of esoteric practice,
Hmm.
superpower, to corporate America and being more dynamic and creative and bringing, here it is, a little bit more heart centeredness into the business. So I literally would pray for my clients. I would do things that were heart driven and I didn't care what people thought, but people felt this guy actually cares. And
Yeah.
I did. It was authentic.
Yeah.
And I have customers with me they're still with me for 20 years.
That's huge.
It's huge. And I can only say that it's because of those inner practices that I did.
Yeah.
And I was guided. And it wasn't that I was super talented. It was that I was able to channel because I was clear. I was a receiver. I was able to channel wisdom from above through me. I became a conduit because I got through the ego more and more. So I was able to channel more wisdom, more dynamism, more creativity, and then execute on it. And those executions, those actions began to give me a rise in my livelihood, in everything, in my
Yeah.
relationships, in my business, in my revenue. And so that's kind of how it all worked out for me.
I love that. That's huge. And one thing that I can see people wondering and or thinking or asking is like, man, Cash, you gave up a lot of your life. You sacrificed a lot. You maybe, forgot about, living life because you were so busy working late at night and doing all these things. What, obviously that's probably not the, in your mind, that's not the response. I don't think it is. It's what is your advice to that? Because I do believe that sometimes that's the challenge, right? I mean, we're so inundated with social media and
Yeah,
social gatherings and partying and all this, whatever it is.
yeah,
And then we're here next morning asking like, man, I want my life to get better, yet you're doing these things, right? And so it's one of those things like either you sacrifice now and live life later, or live life now and sacrifice the rest of your life and then you die, right? Kind of thing, right?
Right,
What's
right.
your take on that?
Yeah, beautiful. Well, awesome question, man. That comes up a lot. And I'm telling you, I'm here to tell you and your audience, believe it or not, you can have it all.
Hmm.
You can have it all. Um, it's about habits. If we begin to build these habits early, wherever you are, it doesn't matter early or late, but the sooner the better. I believe that when I began to put these habits into practice, and these are by the way, this is nothing new. These are the
Mhm.
habits of highly successful people. It's ubiquitous. You can find
Mhm.
it anywhere. Knowledge is ubiquitous. It's everywhere. Here it is. But the application of
Mhm.
knowledge,
Yes.
that's what scares y'all. And that is where what I want to touch on is get around the right people. We have to be disciplined about that. Is what are we subjecting our eyes to? What kind of podcasts are we watching? Look, our time is the most precious commodity.
Yeah.
How we spend our most powerful asset, which is our time, matters the most. So, what am I listening to? What kind of music am I listening to? What am I eating? You know, these nuances, these nuances in life are so critical. So I believe that when you manage your time properly and you're around the right people and you're baking in certain habits that you become accustomed to, that you derive the benefit from, and you've tasted the benefit of the actions that you've taken that have worked for you, that is a good habit. That is a good addiction. That's one you want to, those are the ones you want to keep. And if we don't, for sure, our relationships begin to suffer. And so I asked myself, what good is it if I have a 20, 30, $100 million agency, but I have a broken relationship with my kids? I have a broken relationship with my wife. I have a broken relationship with myself, or I'm in pain because of ailments that I could have prevented. So it goes back to those principles of habits. What habits am I baking into my life today that I'm keeping consistently? Who are the people around me? What am I watching? What am I listening to? And listen, here it is. The ego self says, well, wait a minute, that's no fun. What do you mean? You're going to be a hermit all your life? No, that's a lie. And that's what I'm here to tell you. That's a lie from the ego. The perception that if I do all these things, I won't have fun. No, sir. As a matter of fact, you have more fun than you can imagine by delving into your true self and bringing out the true power that's within you, being able to have clarity, and by becoming more and more aligned with your inner self, you're becoming more aligned with the universal laws. And you will have support from nature. Luck is something that you can increase. It's all about your thoughts, your words, and your deeds. And if your deeds or actions, executing actions, are benevolent, guess what? The law of reap and sow works unanimously.
Yeah.
You will then have the karma that you're looking for, which you will need at higher levels of success. You will need that karma. So as soon as you begin with baking in these principles, these habits, you can literally have it all. That sacrifice that you make for a short time, delayed gratification, which is
Hmm.
it's actually a signal of high intelligence, higher consciousness. that short little sacrifice that you make in the beginning of your career, you have for the next 100 years of profit
Yeah.
because you're building those habits. And then you can have it all. You can have a beautiful family. You can have cash flow. You can have financial freedom. You can have the things you want, and you can have true love. You can actually have that. Get around with people that have that. They're out there. Get yourself, make those sacrifices, and trust me, you will have it too.
Yeah, and I think, that's actually a good point. I think also that doesn't end when you die. Like you now created a legacy to leave behind for your kids, right? Which again, I mean, even myself coming from a Mexican family, we don't have that. Like I'm building this and I'm trying to
Yeah,
not
yeah.
only trying, I'm doing, and what I'm doing is I want to make sure that when I'm gone to a better place, that I can leave something behind for my daughter, right? And I think that's huge because, literally you are building something beyond, 10, 15 years, it's 100 years because it's going to stay generation
Oh,
after generation,
oh
which is
man,
huge. I
huge.
love it. Yeah.
Yeah, we're breaking cycles.
Yeah. Yeah.
You and me, a lot of us who are listening, we're cycle breakers.
Yep.
Some of us are chosen to forge through generations of mediocrity.
Yeah.
And really, I'm speaking to whoever's listening. Some of us here are chosen and anointed to do this. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here talking about this. There's
Right.
something in us that says, I got to break through all the stuff that happened to my forefathers and foremothers, and for my children, and for the cosmos. I'm
Hmm.
not just here for me. I'm here to contribute to the legacy of the world, right? And I really strongly feel that about us and
Yeah.
a lot of us, and that's what drives me. And I'm just so humbled,
Yeah.
grateful to be a conduit of that. Yeah.
That's huge. And I love I love this message. The message is you believe that success is not just about financial growth, it's about finding purpose in what you do and inspiring others along the way. And I think that's huge. And I want you to elaborate a bit more on that. Except there's one thing that I always and I've learned this in my early on entrepreneurial journey when I decided to leave my 9 to 5 and become a full-time entrepreneur. I
Yeah.
was I was chasing that dollar. I was chasing those profits, right? And I
Right.
learned that was a short lived, pretty
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah.
And now one of the things that I always say to people is, if you're working for profits, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
I believe you got to be working for purpose, and the profits will come, right? And I do believe that once you start serving and you're doing, it, it, it's just a ripple
100%.
effect, you know.
100%. Listen, it really comes down in retrospect. And I didn't know this maybe in the beginning. I didn't cognize it.
Hmm.
But as Caesar, as you said, at this point, what I can say is the more people that I serve, the more people that I pour into, that is my KPI for
Yeah,
success.
that's huge.
That's it. That's it. The more people I can help and educate without expectation, actually,
Hmm.
just altruistically,
Hmm.
the more people I can help, that is the KPI leverage. And what happens? It just turns out to be this way. The byproduct of that type of heart ends up being abundance.
Yeah.
Abundance. And abundance, not just monetarily, yeah, that'll come, but abundance familially, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically, all facets of abundance. And what happens is, here it is, you come to a place where you don't have desires anymore. Okay? And that's not a bad thing. You live such a fulfilled, beautiful, abundant life of gratitude and humility that you're content. You are content with just being. You're comfortable in your skin, you're confident in your individual uniqueness, and you don't care anymore about what somebody thinks. Okay? Those things are gone. You reach a level of maturity where you say, I'm just here, Lord, to be a facilitator, of your will, whatever you want, a servant. That servant's heart,
Mhm.
that's what creates greatness.
Yeah.
And that's why I speak lofty about revolutionizing. There's a revolutionary part of each of us that wants to come out. And the path that I've been shown is the path of servanthood.
Mm.
Do and expect nothing.
Yeah. I
And
love that.
watch what happens.
I love that. That's
All
huge.
heaven breaks loose.
Yeah, definitely. Man, Cash, I love this conversation and I love the message. Where can people find out about your agency, your insurance, anything you have going on, or they want to connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. If anybody wants to get into the insurance business and let's say they don't have a ton of capital and they don't want to spend 20 years doing it like I did, Fadaie is my last name. It's the name of the insurance agency, Fadaie, Fadaie like Hawaii. And my name is Cash, like cash money. But Fadaie Insurance is going to be franchising. So
Hmm.
I'm going to be giving the opportunity that I have to individuals that say, hey, Cash, I want to be an insurance investor. I have my stocks and bonds and I have gold and silver, but how do I get into the insurance business? Well, Fadaie is creating a franchise, and the Fadaie franchise is sort of like if you buy a Subway, you plug and play. You get an
Nice.
ROI because I've got everything figured out. So that's coming up in first quarter 25. But to
Awesome.
find more about me, just go online, go to Google, type in my name, Fadaie, Fadaie Insurance. You'll see my website there. My email, you can email me if you have questions, cash with a K, Kash at fadaieinsurance.com.
Awesome. That's huge. So, but besides that, what else is happening for you in 2025? I mean, that's a huge move. Anything else
Yeah.
you're working on?
Well, in 2025, I'll be scaling. So what I'll be doing is a Fadaie Academy where I will be educating people on how to do insurance, CSRs, general managers, regional managers. Um, because what we want to do is we want to bring in at least 100 franchisees. So in order to do that, I'm building an education system because this
Hmm.
is something, Caesar, that you don't learn in school.
Right.
Okay, insurance is a trade, and it's really much like if you go to learn karate or jujitsu, you
Yeah.
got to learn it from it's a master to teacher tradition. So what I want to do, Caesar, is most principal CEO owners, they're not like me. They're like in their late 60s. So here's what's happening. They're getting ready to retire, which will leave a vacuum where younger folks who are in their 20s, 30s, 40s, even 50s that say, hey, I want to fill that void. So Fadaie, where I see myself in 25 and beyond is I'm going to then cater to these younger people that are they're brilliant, they're smart, but they want to do something that is recession proof, that
Hmm.
has true residual income, and that nobody can part with. Nobody can go without insurance, right? So if that's you, uh, that's what I'm doing.
That's
I'll be
huge.
teaching this trade to individuals so that they can come into the insurance industry. And by the way, the insurance industry, when you're an insurance broker or agent, you can do this till you're like 80 years old and on because you can be anywhere to do. It's mobile, right? You can do it in anywhere you want. It's a virtual type of business. Nobody really comes into the office much anymore.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of benefits to that. So I would say education, me teaching the business to people, because
That's
I
huge.
love people. I love educating, and that's one of my niches. So that's kind of what I'll be up to in
Yeah, that's
25
huge.
and beyond.
We definitely need more of that financial literacy because, as you
Yeah.
said, they don't teach that in school. So that's huge. My last question for you, and you've given us a lot of great golden nuggets, and see if I can get one more out of you.
Yeah.
For the people that are watching us and listening to us right now, if they're going through any challenge, whatever challenge that might be, what is one thing or a few things they can do to start overcoming that challenge?
Oh, God, it's beautiful. First of all, understand that struggle is not your foe. It's not your foe. I know it seems like it is because it's painful. I get it. I'm human. But step back for a second and understand that what's coming to you right now has some seed within it waiting to be uncovered. If you can step back and retrieve the lesson in the struggle, and you will if you're intentional about it, if you receive the struggle, the silver lining of the message that the universe is allowing in your life, you will gain. You will gain, and you will then, in retrospect, understand that I don't need to run from struggle anymore. Struggle happens to be the corridor that I need to walk through, that it's not my foe, it's actually my friend, because if I don't go through it, it keeps happening. The patterns won't stop. It's nature's way to wake us up and say, hey, take the seed, learn from it. You're not alone. It's a shift. I'm asking you, please, to shift your perspective for a second. It's all about perspective, this world, this three-dimensional world. It's all about perspective. Look at that glass half full for a second. Change your attitude about it. Your attitude is your altitude. And even though it's difficult and it goes against you at this moment of your life, become grateful for the struggle. I know it's a dichotomy. I know it's ironic. But say to yourself, thank you. Thank you for the struggle. I know deep inside I'm going to gain from this and learn from this, and I'm ready to learn. I've been asking, I want to learn, and here it is. Everybody, listen. The struggle is your teacher. Don't run from it anymore.
Yeah.
Face it, get through it, and you will gain. I'm excited for you. There's love. All there is love. Get through it, learn from it. Now you have track history. Now you can go and say, okay, yeah, I remember this happened and I got through it. I got better. What doesn't kill you, right, makes you stronger. This is a hermetic principle that I believe in. And that's my advice. That's my advice. If what you see there before you is actually what you need to go through. You're not alone. You're loved.
Yeah, I love the cash. Well, man, thank you for that. Really appreciate everything you share with us today. Any last thoughts you want to say before I let you go?
I just want to wish everybody a wonderful holiday that's coming up. Um, I want you to know that I'm here to help. So if you have questions, hit me up anytime. I love to talk. I like to help people. I appreciate being on this show, and hopefully we can do this again, Cesar.
Awesome. Well, Cash, thank you again for being here, and for the rest of you guys, thank you for listening. And do me a favor, please make sure that you share this message because definitely somebody needs to hear it. And I'll see you guys in the next episode of You Can Overcome Anything podcast show. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Cesar Espino, real estate investor, business coach, and consultant, and author of the book, You Can Overcome Anything, Even When the World Says No. My number is 424-501-6046. In my book, I talk about making the necessary changes to shift your mind for prosperity and certainty. Pick up your copy at Amazon. I also love helping families with their real estate and can purchase your house fast and all cash. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. My number is 424-501-6046.
Thank you for having me today. I am so glad you've tuned into this podcast. You can find me at your favorite podcast platform where you can like, subscribe, comment, and share. And to learn more about myself, my services, you can find me at www.cesarrespino.com, or you can also find me at your social media. Thanks for joining me, and I am looking forward to having you at the next episode. And know you truly can overcome anything.